My 34 female son, 16 male, suddenly wants to move in with his father, 34 male. My son and I have always been close, so has my son and his father, however lately he's been a little more withdrawn. Every time he comes back from his father's house he complains that he didn't want to come home and he wishes he could just stay there. He doesn't join in much on family time anymore, and any time I try to have a serious conversation about what's going on with him he just repeats that he wants to go live with his dad full time. I have no idea what could have brought this on. We haven't done anything differently. I asked him if it was my new boyfriend if he was mistreating him and he said no. I just don't understand why he'd want to leave and not tell us why. It's making me wonder what his father is up to and what he's telling our son. Although it's hard to believe he'd say anything bad about us considering we split on good terms. What do? I don't want to lose my boy. Update, as suggested by many, I decided to cut off my relationship this morning in hopes the house won't be uncomfortable anymore. This led to an extremely heated conversation with my son where he's decided it's appropriate to call me an idiot for ruining things with this guy. Needless to say, he still wants to move in with his dad. I'm dropping him off there today. Updated update. My son has taken it upon himself to contact my ex and tell him I needed to talk. He'll be in trouble for this later. He arrived safely at his father's and will remain there. I think he's going to be just fine. You continuously mention in your comments that you'll break up with your boyfriend to make your son happy, but you never even think about the possibility of letting him stay with his dad. Let him stay with his dad. He's a teenager, he's growing up, he wants to see his father more. If you don't let him you'll just see more and more retaliation and you'll both grow to resent each other. Oh my Lanta. I have read a ton of your comments. Just let the kid live with his dad. Your son wants to be with his dad. He is 16. Time for him to fly. You let him go. Why is this a problem? Why do you not want your son to live with his father in the home he wants to live? The entire tone of your post is panicked, as if he's making some terrible life decision. You're reacting as if he's shaving his head and joining a cult or getting thug life tattooed on his forehead. But he's just going to live with his dad? Total guess here, but I wonder if this decision has as much to do with being away from you as it does being closer to his dad? Edit. You broke up with your boyfriend. You, as a single mom of two, had a, seemingly, good relationship with a good man you knew well, and you'd rather destroy that than consider just letting your son move in with his father? I'm really genuinely curious now, why are you significant other opposed to this? Your son's happiness matters more than your hurt feelings. He's growing up. He has every right to live with his dad. This thread is a real train wreck. Be honest, I'm a 16M. And my parents are divorced. Switching between households is really annoying. And he probably just wants to stay in one place and chose his dad. You need to both talk with your son and listen to him. He said he wants to live at his dad's house. Why aren't you listening to him? It sounds like he has been clear with you about what he wants, and you haven't even considered it because it isn't what you want. He is almost an adult. If you want to maintain a good relationship with him, you will start treating him like someone who is almost an adult, including listening to him about this. When I was 16, I wanted to live with my dad too. My brother and I weren't getting along, my mom and I weren't getting along, typical teenager, and I missed my dad. My parents had shared custody until I was 10, and then my mom fought for and was awarded full custody when I was 10. I always felt angry towards her for taking me away from my dad. I was also a teenager and my dad lived closer to my best friends, had a nicer house for me to entertain friends at, bought more ice cream and snacks, and he had a computer that I didn't have to share with my brother. It wasn't anything against my mom or my relationship with her. It was what was best for me. Just let him go. He may resent you later if not. Info. Is dad more flush financially? Is he buying his love? Is new boyfriend over a lot? How long have you been together? OMG. You broke off the whole flipping thing because he was having trouble adjusting? How do you think that makes him feel? Could you not think it through? Back off a little? Come to a compromise? Ask him what would be a good solution. Let him be grown and helping the decision making? OMG. 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 This sounds like your son wants to around his father, and that's not wrong at all for him to feel. While I understand parents talk bad about each other, it's kind of unfair for you to automatically assume it's your ex. Granted, he could be an asshole for all I know. He's a teenager, about to enter really the last stages of entering manhood. It might be a good thing for him to be around his father. It's hard to let them grow up. I'll be honest here, when I was 15, I wanted to go live with my dad too. I didn't have a reason to. I just had always lived with my mom and wanted to go live with my dad. My mom didn't let me. I would have been moving across the country. My point is, if he is just telling you he wants to move in and that there isn't a reason, there might not be. He may just want to go live with the person who supplied the other half of his DNA. I read one of your replies that said he just wants to be around someone like his dad. Have you considered your son might be gay and doesn't feel like he can be himself around you and your BF? He might just feel more comfortable with his dad if so. It sounds like he's just in a phase where he prefers his father, or his father's place, and I wouldn't take it personally. I get why it's upsetting. I would let him go, and focus on keeping a good relationship with him without making him stick around. Because he's 16? Doesn't really need more than that. My new boyfriend. And there we have it. Your new boyfriend might not be mistreating him, but your son could still be feeling very uncomfortable, or resentful, or any number of other negative emotions. Your son probably wants to live with his dad because you don't seem to listen. He told you there was nothing wrong between him and your boyfriend, yet you didn't listen and broke up with him anyway. You don't want to lose your boy. Well, he is transitioning to becoming a man and he telling you what he wants, but you only did this for yourself to keep him to yourself. Your son is not a toy, but a person with feelings and wants and is conveying to you how he feels. I'm glad you took him to his dad's, but I feel there's more to discuss here. This post is just the reason why some Reddit people should invest more time writing fanfiction rather than giving advice. The boyfriend was a longtime family friend and not some random person who moved in. The boyfriend hadn't even moved in, just used to visit often. The kid had absolutely no issues with the boyfriend. Everything on most advice here was simply jumping to conclusions because the world needs to make a reaffirmation on how people simply hate mothers as human beings. As if a 16-year-old is mature enough to have rational reasonings and not just random whims. He's a teenage boy. He wants some man-to-man time that you can't give him. You posted this 16 hours ago, and in that time you broke up with your boyfriend, and your edit sounds a little bit like you're trying to blame Reddit for poor advice leading to a negative outcome. 1. Take responsibility for your actions. 2. The devouring mother Dr. Carl Jung is likely the line of research you should have pursued for your original issue. There was an outpouring of good advice in this comment thread telling you to let your son go. You seem to have cherry-picked the responses that supported your initial panic over losing your son. I sympathize deeply with your kid. So after reading your edit, it sounds like he just wanted to move in with his dad. And now he feels emotionally burdened with your relationship ending. Perhaps a counselor or mediator for these conversations in the future? Jesus girl, reading your comments, you're mentally unstable, which isn't an insult. It's okay for people to need help working through their feelings, but you need to recognize that you need help first before anything else. What do? I don't want to lose my boy. You sound toxic as hell. Don't be selfish. He's not yours to keep, he's his own person. He's voicing his needs and you're only thinking about yourself. He wants to live with his dad. At 16 he's old enough to get a say in his living arrangements. If it were my kid, I would sit him down and say, I want us to come up with a plan that you are happy with, but in order to do that I need to know why you are unhappy. Hopefully that will kick off a productive dialogue. Is it possible that he's subconsciously upset that you and his dad will never get back together and seeing you with your new boyfriend is triggering him? Or that he feels the new boyfriend is taking your attention away from him so he feels abandoned when he sees you two together? You have thrown out so many dramatic all or nothing comments that I am reminded of my own mother. That's not a good thing. Stop being so dramatic. I think regardless of this situation you should seek therapy. I'm concerned you are not able to look at situations in a healthy way. Let him go live with his father. A boy needs his dad at this time in life. My son did the same thing at 16. Once he was being disciplined by his new stepmother, he was on the phone calling me every day to talk. TBH, I wonder if his father leaves him alone and he doesn't have family time there, because when you get to a certain age as a teen you want to be left alone in the internet and to play games to talk with friends. I'd probably just let him do it if the father agrees, and tell him if he ever wants to he's always welcome back. He'll throw more of a teen fit if he can't go live with him lol. Speaking as a 23F whose parents are divorced. It's always awkward when my mom jumped straight into letting strange men come in and out of our home. I'm not sure who your boyfriend is as a person, but for me it felt like she was compromising my safety by just jumping to allowing her boyfriends to constantly stay at our house even though she hadn't known them that long. And of course, not all of them turned out to be good guys. Additionally, it's hard constantly having to form relationships with new people and then losing those because your parents' dating life is rocky. Not that I'm assuming your dating life is a mess, I'm just explaining how he may be feeling about that portion of the situation. All the people judging her for having a boyfriend makes me sick. Especially when the father lives with his boyfriend. Stop shaming other women. She doesn't have to be lonely. I met my husband when my kids were 9-14. He loves them as if they were his own, and they feel the same. They have a great relationship with him. Have learned so much from him and from seeing a healthy relationship, and they all love him so much. Don't shame her for trying to find her happiness. Speak to his father. And it may just be a guy thing. He is becoming a man and may want his dad around. Doesn't sound like you have done anything wrong. Maybe he just simply loves his father too and wants to spend more time with him. That's not losing your boy at all. When my son was 18 he was still living at home and told me he was leaving my house forever and would never come back. He was moving in with his father. We hadn't fought, nothing had happened, but I helped him pack and load his car. As he was leaving I told him he can always come back. Sure enough, about 3 months later he called and asked if he could come home. It's hard, but sometimes you just have to let them go. Lol. Instantly wants to blame the father. I don't understand at all why people advised for her to leave her boyfriend. Just let the boy be with his father. I'm in a similar situation. We have a new 3-year-old in the house and we constantly have tension between us and her other relatives, who constantly try to brainwash her. So yeah, she shows favoritism and it hurts sometimes, but at the end of the day, she has her own thoughts on the matter even at 3. I don't understand why people thought the boyfriend was an issue. She won't lose her son but letting him be there. He's allowed to make his own decisions in the matter, and yes, it won't be easy at all, but why the boyfriend? Your son is 16. His body is wired to think about sex. Some studies say every 90 minutes all day long. He is suddenly faced with the fact that you have sex or want sex and it's with someone that used to be a family friend. He doesn't want to know this is happening. He doesn't want to hear it, see it, acknowledge it. He doesn't even want to think about that he thought about it. He can't talk to anyone about this, least of all you. He probably acknowledges that you deserve happiness and companionship, but that even makes it worse because that makes him feel guilty for not wanting you to do this. So moving out is a great answer for him to avoid having to deal with this all of the time. And no, he's not going to tell you. I would tone down the relationship in front of him. Why are you so mad your son wants to spend time with his dad? You don't own him, he is grown and gets to decide what he wants. You are making things about you and reacting without even talking to him. Even dumping your boyfriend seems reactionary. Just talk to your almost adult child and support him so he doesn't feel guilty. Dropping him off right away seems like a major guilt trip move. What if there's a girl the boy likes who lives near his father? Because he is 16 and needs to be around a man, not your boyfriend, now more than ever. Coming from someone with divorced parents, separated parents. We suffer more than anything. Usually as myself I never wanted to see my dad, but I was always forced to go. I'm some instances. Do you guys live in the same school district? If so, there can be an agreement upon staying a week one place and 1 week another place or different amounts of times. I won't say to follow my advice, but I would say it's a great tip to work on. And to address you, losing your son. You wouldn't be. He would still think of you as a mom, and a great mom at that. A man will grow closer with a man and it's naturally gravitated at that. Lol, relax. Kid needs his dad. From the looks of how emotional you are about it, my guess is he's tired of you helicoptering him. Just give the kid space and support when he asks for it. Baby bird is tired of being a baby. Let him be. He'll be in trouble for this later. You're getting him in trouble for wanting to see his dad now? Holy fuck, grimace. I'm suspicious that the poster has BPD, NPD, disclaimer. This is not a diagnosis or medical advice, just personal. She did the classic black and white switch of, I hate you, don't leave me, with her edits and comments. If you're reading this, it isn't normal to go from, I love my son and don't want to lose him, to, he's not my son anymore, in a matter of hours. This is mentally ill behavior. This is not an insult. For you and the people in your life, please see a therapist. A lot of people here are already giving great advice, but I just wanted to say. Did I read this right? You cut off your relationship with your now ex because? You're taking it very personally, and I can guarantee to that your son does not care about how you feel and isn't thinking about you at all with his actions. He's just expressing what would make him happiest. Also, obviously some kids don't like new adults dating their parents and being around all over the time. My cousin decided he wanted to go live with his dad, and a few months later he came back because it just wasn't what he expected. He still visited every other weekend, and he always knew he was more than welcome back home. We didn't do anything to his room or mess with any of his stuff, and he came back when he was ready. If he moves into his dad's, how soon will he get his own car?